Okay, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us this morning for our class titled Reset, Refocus After the Holidays with our guest speaker, Jennifer Johnson. The program is part of Erie County Senior Services University Express program, which is a free educational program for older adults in Erie County. On behalf of our commissioner, Angela Marinucci, I want to welcome you all and let you know that our in-person classes are still being offered at 22 locations throughout Erie County, although most of them are closed tomorrow due to the pending weather. So please, before you go out to anything tomorrow, check with the center. I think as of now, there's only 2 still happening tomorrow. I want to also send out a big thank you to our sponsors, Wegmans, Excelsior Orthopedics, Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, and of course, Erie County Senior Services. A few quick housekeeping items before we get started. As I mentioned, the session is being recorded, and if all goes as planned, we will be able to post it on our website in the very near future. Usually takes a couple days to process. You have all joined this program muted and without your video showing. So you didn't do anything wrong. That's just the format we have for these sessions, just so you know. You will be able to speak to us through the chat button at the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. We will have some time at the end of the presentation to answer some questions. And also it looks like a little bubble from a cartoon right-hand bottom of your screen, but on a smartphone or a tablet, you need to touch your screen to bring up the control panel. And then there's a button that has 3 little dots in it. That's how you find your chat if you're on one of those other devices. So I now have the pleasure of introducing Jennifer, who is the owner of New Sky Coaching. She is a native Western New Yorker and a graduate of Canisius College. She has spent over 20 years working with local health plans, focusing on health and wellness needs for older adults in the community. Jennifer brings health and wellness programs to adults of all ages through live and virtual presentations at fitness centers, senior centers, employers, community groups, and of course, University Express classes. Her passion for health, fitness, and cooking led her to coaching, where she can work intensively with people one-on-one and help them set and achieve goals toward sustainable change. Jennifer is a certified wellness coach, certified personal trainer, and registered yoga teacher. She lives in Hamburg with her husband, her son, and 2 badly behaved pets. Oh, cats, cats, excuse me. So I want to welcome Jennifer. Without further ado, she will take it away.
All right. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Alyssa. Yes, they really are badly behaved cats. They're shut out of my office because they come in here and they eat my plants. So I can't have them in here when I'm working. So today we're going to be talking about resetting after the holidays, and what a perfect time to be having this conversation. Thanksgiving is a week from today. And of course, as they say, it's beginning to look a lot like Christmas. Outside my window, I have a couple of inches of snow here in Hamburg, and apparently we're going to get more later on, depending on where you happen to be sitting. So today we're going to be talking about the wildness of the holidays and how we can kind of get back on track afterwards. All right. So it's really not fair to pick on the poor hippos this way, but this was the best photo I could find. Isn't this how we all feel when the holidays are over, right? We have the best of intentions, but the holidays are overwhelming. And so when things are over and January finally comes, we feel tired. We feel overindulged, right? We've had too much sugar, too many rich foods, maybe too much alcohol. We feel dehydrated. We feel lethargic and grumpy. We feel bloated. And a lot of the time we feel guilty, right? We didn't stick to our plans. We didn't do what we said we were going to do in terms of exercising or staying fit or watching our calorie intake. And so this is how a lot of us end up feeling, on January 2nd. And we make all these great promises about how we're going to move forward. So ideally, in an ideal situation, let's see if we advance by slide. There we go. In an ideal situation, we would prevent that holiday overindulgence before it even starts. Um, so since we have time, as we're moving into the holiday season, hopefully we can carry some of these things with us, trying to get enough sleep, right? Sleep is incredibly important. Sleep helps us prepare for what we have coming the next day. Sleep helps us repair and renew tissues. So if we are, maybe we do have an event where we have one too many glasses of wine. Good sleep is going to help us rebuild any damage that we've done. It's going to help us refresh and get back to a baseline. It's also going to help us de-stress. So if we're feeling like we've got a lot going on with the holidays, or maybe if you're still working, for a lot of people this is their busy season, right, coming into the end of the year. Getting enough sleep helps us handle those stresses. Getting enough sleep helps us to recharge. So in the same way that you plug in your phone when the battery is getting low, sleep does the same thing for our brains. It helps us to recharge so that we're back at 100% the next day. What else can we do to prevent holiday overindulgence? Before you go to a party, an event, an activity, eat a snack, right? A lot of times we will save up for a big meal or a party, right? With Thanksgiving next week, a lot of people don't eat anything in the morning, right? They wait all day till they get to Thanksgiving dinner to eat that meal. Well, when we do that, when we do finally get to that meal, we're so hungry that we make terrible choices. So it's better for us to eat a little something before the meal or before the activity. That's going to help us not be so scary hungry. It's going to help us to be able to look at that spread of food and make better choices about what we're going to eat. So what should you eat before a party or a big meal? Maybe a cup of soup, or an apple with a piece of cheese, a couple of celery sticks spread with peanut butter, something like that. A little bit of some kind of fruit or veggie, right? Something that maybe you're not going to be getting a lot of at a party, with a little bit of fat and protein, so that it's going to help you. It's going to fill you up a little bit. It's going to help you stay full, and it's going to give you some nutrients that maybe you won't be getting with those rich foods at a party or a big meal. Drink more water. We're going to talk more about water and the importance of that, but during the holiday season, however much water you're drinking probably isn't enough. So try to add a little bit more water throughout the day. The other thing that coincides with the holiday season, of course, is the cold weather, right? And I keep doing this because I have a window right here. But what does that mean? It means it's drier outside, right? And it's drier in our houses too, because now we've turned the heat on. And so everything is dry. Our skin starts to feel itchy and dried out. Our eyes, our mouths, our nasal passages start to feel drier. So you really want to be drinking more water as we get into winter, regardless of the holiday season. But with the holiday season coming, that makes drinking more water even more important. And we're going to spend more time on water in a few minutes. Limit your rich foods. So with Thanksgiving next week, everybody's going to have more than their share of rich foods. And nobody's saying that you can't have those things. Absolutely have those things. I love stuffing. Stuffing is my very favorite holiday food. I could eat a whole pan of it. And I only have it once a year. So if I want stuffing, I'm going to have stuffing. but I'm not going to waste my stuffing calories on mashed potatoes, for example. I could have mashed potatoes any day of the year. I'm not going to waste my calories on that. Now, if you love mashed potatoes and that's what you're waiting for, by all means, go ahead. But don't waste your calories on stuff you could have anytime. Save your calories, save your indulgences for those foods that you really, really wait for all year long. And so limit yourself to those things that you've been waiting for. Make time for exercise. Exercise is one of the first things that we throw out the window, not just during the holiday season, but anytime when we get busy and our time gets tight. So make time for exercise. Put it on your calendar. Put it in your phone if that's how you schedule your activities. If you're, you want to spend time with a friend during the holiday season, go for a walk or go for a hike, go for a snowshoe. Find ways to make time for exercise while still enjoying your holiday season. Getting some exercise is going to help you manage stress, sleep better, and help you manage your overall calorie intake. Now, having said all of that, even when we have the best of intentions, right? The holidays can be overwhelming. We plan for a healthy meal, and before we know it, now we have a last minute activity, and we're going to be grabbing something on the go, or we're going to be eating at someone else's house, and we have no control over what we're being served. The holidays can be overwhelming. So do your best. Make the best choices that you can in the situation that you're in and lose the guilt, right? It's once a year, it's a 6-week period, once a year. It's not going to ruin everything. Enjoy it. Enjoy your holiday foods. Enjoy the time that you spend with friends and family. Enjoy the spirit of the season and the feeling of, communal activities and joy and the sharing that we have during the holiday season. But then when it's over, try to get yourself back on track. There's a a fact that floats around at this time of year that the average American gains about 1 pound, excuse me, in the period of time between Thanksgiving and New Year's, right? So Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, New Year's Eve, Boxing Day, whatever you celebrate, the average American only gains about 1 pound. Well, that's not much, right? What's a pound? The problem is that after New Year's comes, we don't lose that pound. And so over the years, we end up gaining 10, 20, 30 pounds from those accumulated holiday seasons. So it's important that when the holidays are over, we do get back on track. We do get back to our healthy lifestyle, and we try to move forward, lose that pound, and get back to our everyday good habits. And that's what I like to call the reset. So think of January 1st. We think of that as a time for new beginnings. Maybe you set your New Year's resolutions. It's a period of resetting and that refocusing, coming back to ourselves, coming back to our good, healthy habits. And when I think of resetting, starting over, I think of water, because we need water for everything, right? We need it for good health. We need it to stay alive. We need it. We can't live more than a few days without water. So we're always going to start with water. And if you were with us a few minutes before the program started, I mentioned that you might want to get a glass of water. If you have one nearby, we're going to take just a minute or two here, and we're going to do a short mindfulness activity. If you've ever done any mindfulness programs with me before, I'm really fond of the popular mindfulness activity. It's called the Five Senses activity. And you spend a few minutes paying attention to all the things you can observe with your senses. So things you can see, things you can touch, things you can hear, taste, and smell. Well, what I like to do with this idea of the reset is I like to do that type of activity, but with water. Because water is so life-giving, we need it for every aspect of our physical health. Um, and it's something we can really take a minute and focus on and use to bring ourselves back into the moment. So this is a little activity that you can take forward with you into your holiday season, but also into the new year when maybe you're trying to rebuild some of those healthy habits. And when you feel overwhelmed, or when you feel guilty, or when you feel like you've overindulged, spend a minute or two in this activity and see if it helps you to feel a little bit more present in the current moment, thinking about what's going on right now, being aware of your surroundings, your thoughts, your feelings, your emotions, without judging them, without feeling guilt or anxiety, but simply being aware and being present in the current moment. So if you have a glass of water, pick it up and take just a moment to feel it in your hand. Okay? So I have an actual glass here. Maybe you have a plastic cup or a mug, but take just a minute to feel how that container feels in your hand. Probably feels heavy, right? If it's full of water. And if it's a glass or a ceramic mug, it might feel heavier than it would feel if you had a plastic cup. So just feel it. Feel the heft, feel the weight in your hand. And then in the next moment, look at it. Look at it through the side of the glass, if you can, if you've got a transparent or translucent vessel. See the water, see the surface of the water, maybe moving around a little bit, jiggling. Look inside. Is the water clear? Is it sparkling water that maybe has some bubbles in it? Did you add a little splash of juice or something that might give it a little color? Did you add ice? If you did, what shape is the ice? Is it square? Is it round? Is it rectangular? Is it crushed? If you have a glass that you can see through, can you see your fingerprints through the glass, through the water? Tilt the glass a little bit. Let the water rotate around the edges. Next, smell it. What does your water smell like? Mine doesn't really smell like anything. Mine is water right from the tap, but maybe you have some lemon in your water, or if you added a little splash of something, maybe you can smell that. Maybe your water comes from a well and you can smell that well scent, but maybe not. Maybe there's nothing to smell, and that's okay too. Next, we're going to take a sip of the water, and I want you to notice how it feels in your mouth. Does it feel really cold? Does it feel sort of room temperature? Does it give you a little Is it so cold that it gives you a little jolt to your body as you take it in? So go ahead and do that now and hold the water in your mouth for just a moment so that you can notice the temperature and how it feels in your mouth, and then go ahead and swallow. So mine is kind of not room temperature, but not ice cold either. Maybe your water feels particularly crisp or clean in your mouth. Maybe it tastes of lemon or whatever you might have in there. Maybe there's bubbles, and so you get that little fizz on your tongue. And then notice as you continue to sip, how do you feel when you're drinking it? Do you feel relief? Like, oh, I was so thirsty. This water feels great. Does it feel like you're doing something good for yourself? Do you feel like, oh, water is so boring? None of those feelings are good or bad. We're just noticing them. And then when you're done, you can go ahead and put the glass back down. And that's an exercise that you can do anytime you're feeling overwhelmed, anytime you're feeling like you need to bring your focus back. Maybe your attention has been scattered. You feel like you're doing 1,000 things at once. Taking just a moment to sit with a glass of water and really notice it helps to bring you back to yourself. When you're that focused on the experience that you're having, you can't be anywhere else. Can't be anywhere other than right there with that glass of water. So that's just a simple mindfulness exercise that you can do anywhere. You could do it while you're doing your holiday shopping or while you're cooking your Thanksgiving meal. Anytime you're feeling overwhelmed, practicing any kind of mindfulness exercise is a way to bring you back to yourself. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed that. So now we're going to get into what are some of the other things that we can do as we move out of the holiday season in a few weeks, to reset, to focus our attention back on ourselves and our healthy habits. Well, first of all, forget all about cleanses or detoxes. Those are going to be all over the place as we move out of the holiday season. You do not need 17 different kinds of juice. You don't need a million different kinds of tea. You don't need to be doing fasting or dieting or anything like that. We don't need that. It's okay that we go a little overboard once in a while. It's okay for us to enjoy the holiday season and the rich food and the parties and all of that. It's okay to enjoy those things. But when the season is over, while we don't need these drastic changes in our lives, what we do need is a little bit of time to focus on ourselves and give our bodies what they need. Here's what our bodies need: water, simple, healthy foods, right? Not juice cleanses, not fasts. We need simple, healthy, nourishing food. We need sleep. Okay? For a lot of us, our sleep suffers during the holiday season because we're busy, because we're doing so much. We need movement. We might be tired, we might be lethargic, but we still need movement. Our bodies are made to move. And this is also a great time to incorporate gratitude, which we'll get into in a few minutes when we get to that slide. So again, let's go back to water. How much? How much water do you need every day? It really depends. There's that old rule about 8 glasses of water a day, and that's okay. You know, that's a good kind of catch-all amount. But what I like to tell people, because our bodies are all different sizes, right? I'm a really short person. My husband is a really tall person. And so it makes sense that we would need different amounts of water every day. So my rule that I like is to take your body weight, so whatever you weigh, let's say you weigh 150 pounds, divide 150 in half, so you get 75, drink 75 ounces of water a day. So whatever your body weight is, divide that number in half and drink that many ounces of water a day. Now, you might need a little bit more post holiday season. If you feel really dry, if you were eating a lot of sugary, salty foods, you might feel a little dehydrated. If you were drinking a lot of alcohol, right, you're going to feel dehydrated. So you might need even a little more water than that for a few weeks following the holiday season. But a good daily rule of thumb is half your body weight in ounces of water per day. What about things like coffee, tea, caffeinated beverages? That's all, it's okay. You just don't want to have too much. So a couple of cups of coffee a day, that's fine. I mean, coffee is still mostly water, but try not to get too much caffeine. Caffeine does ultimately dehydrate us because it is a diuretic, meaning it removes more fluid from our bodies. So after you get past about 2 cups of coffee a day, for every additional cup of coffee you drink, add an extra glass of water to replace some of that fluid that you're losing from the caffeine. Or after 2 cups of coffee, switch to decaf. Okay? Tea has way less caffeine than coffee, but it can still be dehydrating in large quantities. So same thing, once you've had a couple of cups, either switch to decaf or herbal tea, or drink those extra glasses of water. Water should definitely be the choice instead of sugary drinks. So instead of soda, sweetened iced tea, anything like that, water should really be your beverage of choice. A lot of people, as we close out the holidays and get into January, do what's called dry January. No secret, right, that during the holiday season, maybe we drink a little more alcohol than we do during the rest of the year. And so sometimes people try to go through the whole month of January without any alcohol. So if you are intending to practice dry January, which I think is great, I did it myself last year. It is always a good idea periodically to take a break from alcohol. It's not great for us. So if you are going to do dry January, a couple of ideas here for things you could try instead. Sparkling water and seltzers come in any flavor you could possibly imagine now. My favorite is a brand called Spindrift. I'll put that in the chat. I like it because it's made with actual fruit and fruit juice rather than like, flavors, like chemical flavors. So that's my favorite brand, but you can get so many different kinds. And even the stores have their own store brands. So those can be a great choice. Kombucha is another really good choice. Kombucha is a fermented beverage. So it's a fermented tea. that has different flavors and juices added to it. There's lots of different brands available. It does have kind of a funky taste. It is a little bit of an acquired taste. But if you've never had it before, it's definitely worth trying. You can get it at any grocery store. And it does contain probiotics, beneficial bacteria. So it can be good for your gut health as well. And herbal tea is another great choice for dry January. Whether it's hot or iced, it can be a good substitute for sweetened drinks, especially if you get like the fruity flavored herbal teas. Those are really nice cold or room temperature, and they can be a great substitute for things like soda or sweetened iced teas. Okay. Simple, healthy foods, not detoxes, not juice cleanses, just plain old regular simple food. Cut back on sugar and simple carbs for the reason that that's probably a lot of what you were eating during the holiday season, right? The holiday season is full of cookies and fudge and cakes and desserts and all kinds of delicious stuff. So now is the time to take a little break from those things. We eat a lot of them during the holiday season. So if you can take a break from sugar and really limit your sugar intake, that will be a good thing. I have no problem with carbs. I love carbs. Carbohydrates are our body's preferred energy source. And if you're feeling run down, lethargic, like you don't have any energy, carbohydrates are going to be an important part of getting some of your energy back. But you want those to be not simple carbs, but what are called complex carbs or complex carbohydrates. So simple carbs are going to be things like sugar and all of the sweets that go along with that, as well as white bread, white pasta, white rice, all of those kinds of less healthy carbohydrates. So instead, you want to be focusing on complex carbohydrates, which are going to be whole grains. So if you can see this picture here that I have on the screen, we've got a lot of fruits and veggies, right? So those are going to be complex carbohydrates, as well as in one of the little heart-shaped dishes on the screen, there between the next to the lemons, the red stuff, that's quinoa. So quinoa and other whole grains like barley, bulgur, farro, oats, brown rice, wild rice, those are all going to be whole grains. So focusing more on fruits, veggies, whole grains, beans, and other legumes, those are going to be your complex carbohydrates that are going to give you more sustained energy. And they're also going to contain a lot of fiber, which is going to help with any sort of sluggishness in your digestive system. Protein is also going to be an important factor. So maybe you want to be focusing a little bit more on plant-based proteins. If you feel really like you had a lot of heavy foods during the holiday season, this might be a time to focus more on proteins like nuts, beans, even eggs would be okay. Not plant-based, but a little bit lighter than meat. So focusing on healthy, lean proteins. Eat small meals more frequently. We spend the holiday season eating a lot of heavy meals with a lot of rich food. So spreading out our calorie intake over the course of the day is going to help to moderate our blood sugar levels. So eating, rather than 3 big meals, eating maybe 5 or 6 smaller meals throughout the day. Every time you eat, whether it's a meal or a snack, make sure that you're including protein and fat. Protein and fat help us stay fuller longer than a meal that is really just heavy in carbs. So, for example, Something like some fruit and cheese would be a good small meal. Um, Soup, maybe a vegetable soup with half turkey sandwich or tuna sandwich with a little bit of mayonnaise in there, maybe some cheese on the sandwich. So you want to make sure you're including protein and fat at each meal, because while they might be higher in calories, they're going to help you stay full longer. And this is not the time of year for fussy, heavy meals. Post holiday, what we really want are simple, nourishing foods that are easy to make. We don't need to be spending hours in the kitchen. We don't need to be, trying these new crazy recipes we've never done before with ingredients we've never heard of. We want simple things like soup, um, bean, veggie based meals that are going to be really cozy, really warming, but nourishing as well, that are going to provide us with a lot of fruits and veggies, a lot of fiber, and stuff that is warm on top of nourishing is also going to feed our soul as well as our body. It's going to be cold, right? It's a cold time of year. So we want things that are nice and warm and cozy, and are nourishing to both body and soul. Sleep. I'm just checking our time here. We could spend a whole hour just talking about sleep. So I just want to say that during the holiday season, sleep is something that suffers for a lot of us for a lot of reasons, starting with, our schedules during the holiday season. If you've got parties and activities and volunteer work and family obligations and things that you're doing during the holiday season, maybe we're not getting as much sleep as we would like. But also, we just changed the clocks. And so now our bodies and our whole body clocks are all messed up. So getting into a solid bedtime routine is going to be helpful for you, not just post holiday, but even now as we're moving into the holiday season. So, just a couple of tips here. Create a soothing bedtime ritual. And think about if you have kids, when they were little, you probably had a really solid bedtime routine for them, right? You probably you know, gave them a bath, and then you brushed teeth and you put on pajamas and you read them a bedtime story and you sang a song and you gave them a kiss and you turned on the nightlight and you turned out the light in the room. Going through that process every night, their bodies and their brains begin to learn, oh, this is what happens every night when I go to bed. But when we get to be adults, we don't do that anymore. And we think we can just hop in bed, turn out the lights, and we should just be able to fall asleep just like that. Well, that isn't how it works. Think of sleep as not so much of a on and off switch, right? So if the switch is on, we're awake, and if the switch is off, we're asleep. Think of it more as a dimmer switch, where you can gradually bring the level down until the light is completely off. That's really how sleep works for us. So about an hour before bedtime, you want to start bringing that dimmer down. So start out with maybe a hot bath or a hot shower, something to relax your body. Maybe this is when you spend a little time doing some journaling or practicing meditation, doing some really gentle yoga before bedtime. Maybe you sit down every night with a cup of herbal tea before you go to bed. Whatever it is, you want it to be quiet. You want it to be you don't want it to be screen based. So we want to turn off the TV. We want to put down our phones or our tablets. We want to get off the computer. We want to get away from our screens for at least an hour before bedtime. Maybe you spend a little time reading a real paper book, not a Kindle or an e-reader. Maybe you listen to some soothing music. But whatever it is, create a whole routine around it so that your body learns, just like your kids did, this is what happens every night before I go to sleep. And it helps our bodies grow accustomed to this is the process for falling asleep. And it makes it easier for us to sleep. Something else to keep in mind, because we have had a lot of environmental changes in the last few weeks with the time change and with the weather change, consider your sleeping environment. Consider the temperature in your room. Maybe, is it too warm or too cold? If you just turned on the heat in the house, now maybe it's much warmer in your bedroom than it was just a few weeks ago. And so that can make it difficult for us to sleep. A lot of us like to be warm and cozy when we get into bed, and that's great, but we actually sleep better in a slightly cooler environment. So you might want to think about turning the heat down a little bit before you go to bed so that the room has a little bit of time to cool off. A good rule of thumb is if you're standing in your bedroom, so if you're in your pajamas, you're standing in your bedroom, you should feel a little bit chilly so that when you get into bed and you get under the covers, you'll be nice and warm. If you're warm standing in your bedroom, you're going to be too warm when you're trying to sleep. The other thing to keep in mind is lighting. So maybe maybe the street lights come on earlier now, and now they're shining in your bedroom window. Maybe because it's darker later in the morning, now maybe you're waking up later because the sunlight isn't waking you up. So just consider those things and whether they might impact your sleep. You might want to consider something like blackout curtains or an eye mask. Or you might want to consider something like one of those alarm clocks that instead of emitting a horrible noise when it's time for you to get up, instead it starts to shine a light, and the light gradually gets brighter and brighter and brighter. And those are meant to mimic sunlight as the sun comes up. So just consider what the lighting environment is like in your bedroom, and if that's something that you might need to adjust to help you get better sleep as we move into and then out of the holiday season. Movement. Our bodies need movement. But something that a lot of us do post-holiday is we jump into a heavy exercise schedule, right? Maybe we've set a New Year's resolution, or maybe we didn't even set a New Year's resolution, but we're trying to work off those holiday calories. That kind of aggressive workout schedule is really difficult to sustain. So instead of worrying about getting enough exercise or getting your workout in or burning off those holiday cookies, think about movement. How much can you move? How much do you need to move in order to feel good, in order to feel like yourself? So instead of worrying about getting enough exercise, instead of worrying about losing weight or burning off the calories, think about taking the movement that you need and calling it self-care. So if you're normally a runner, but you get outside and you try to run, or you get on the treadmill and you feel sluggish and heavy, don't worry about it. You can get back to running at some point, but for now, just take a walk or go for a hike. And instead of thinking of it as exercise or something you've got to do, think of it as something you get to do. And this is something you're doing for yourself to feel good, not just for your physical health, but for your mental and emotional health as well. If you're a really active cyclist, instead of killing yourself to get out on the roads or trying to get back to your normal routine, just go for a pleasurable ride and just enjoy it. If you're a swimmer, instead of rushing back to the pool to get your laps in, instead get in the pool and enjoy the feeling, enjoy the sensation of the water. Really feel that movement as you stroke through the water. So consider it self-care rather than exercise or working out or undoing whatever treats you had during the holidays. So what are some good examples of this kind of gentle movement? Certainly walking, without trying to get to a particular speed or pace. Just walk and just enjoy the atmosphere. Even today, I can see my street from where I'm sitting. My streets are nice and clear. So maybe after we're done here, I'm just going to go out for a walk, and I'm not going to rush. I'm not going to be in a hurry. People are starting to put up their Christmas decorations. Maybe I'll just go out and enjoy being outside. So take some of that gentle movement. This is a good time for yoga as well. Can be very gentle, restorative yoga. Tai Chi is great. Even just stretching, just getting down on the floor, down onto your mat, and just taking a few gentle stretches. And a really great form of movement anytime is dancing. Putting on your favorite music and just dancing around your house. You can close all your curtains so that nobody sees you, but it can be a nice, gentle, really wonderful and fulfilling way to move. So think more about movement, moving your body in a way that feels good to you rather than the burden of having to exercise or work out. And then finally, again, I'm always afraid I'm going to go over time here. And then finally, think about practicing gratitude. Starting with, try not to let guilt or shame cloud your holiday experience. So you ate too many cookies. So what? Right? It's not the end of the world. And you're not the only person that did it. And it's not going to do any good to beat yourself up. So try to let that go. And again, trying not to think about making up for it or reversing it or working it off, but instead, did you enjoy yourself? Were those cookies good? They probably were. So think back on that experience and did you enjoy it? Why were the cookies so good? Who made them? And what does that say about that person? That person who's in your life. Can you look back on that experience with gratitude rather than with guilt or shame? And then I love this idea of consider implementing some sort of gratitude practice to end the holiday season. So that could be anything. There's as many different options as there are people, but it could be journaling. It could be jotting down some of the experiences that you had during the holiday season that were pleasurable or enjoyable for you. Maybe it was a visit with a friend you haven't seen in a long time. Maybe it was a holiday event that you went to that was particularly enjoyable. Maybe you saw some holiday display that was particularly beautiful or moving to you in some way. You could also extend gratitude to other people. So if you do write thank you notes, this could be a time to put some of that gratitude into words. And if you don't normally write thank you notes, consider doing so, maybe not for a thing or an item or a gift that you received, but for an experience or for writing a thank you note to someone who made your holiday season particularly enjoyable or particularly lovely in some way. Maybe a friend or a family member who hosted an event or who wore something that you found particularly appropriate or particularly wonderful for the spirit of the season, someone that you know who volunteers and did something so nice for other people during the holiday season, consider writing a thank you note to that person or a letter to that person telling them. You'll feel good, they'll feel good, and it's a lovely way to show gratitude and to experience the feelings and the sensation of gratitude. Finally, consider setting an intention for the year ahead. So as we come through the holiday season and we come to the end, and now as we move into January, think about setting an intention. And if anyone takes yoga classes, this is something you'll hear yoga instructors say a lot. Set an intention for today's class. And all that really means is thinking about what you want to focus on. And that doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be like a New Year's resolution. It doesn't have to be, this year I'm going to lose 20 pounds, or this year I'm going to quit smoking. It doesn't have to be something like that. It could be that your intention for the coming year is to be more present, or to be more grateful, or to notice the nice things that people do for you or for each other. So it doesn't have to be some big goal or big accomplishment. It can just be something to notice or to look around for as you move into the next year. And what's really nice about this is by setting this intention and maybe writing it down, right? Maybe you write it on a Post-it and you stick it on your desk or your bathroom mirror or your refrigerator. Whenever you see it, you can take that minute to say to yourself, okay, are the things I'm doing now keeping me in line with this intention? And just having that little reminder as you go through the upcoming year to keep coming back to that intention, and keep trying to do those things kind of helps to keep you on track. All right. So that's all I have for you today. And oh, it's 11:22. So that's all I have for you today. I think we'll take questions in just a minute. So I just want to, while everybody's thinking of their questions here, I just want to show you a couple of things. So I am Jennifer Johnson from New Sky Coaching. New Sky Coaching offers wellness coaching, personal fitness coaching, and retirement coaching for adults over age 50. You can find me in a ton of places. Here's my contact information, my website. I am on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as New Sky Coaching, so please follow me there. And then the last thing I want to show you is I am offering a program starting January 1st called The Reset. It is based on everything that we talked about today. So if you're interested in checking that out, you can find it on my website at newskycoaching.com/services. And I have it, it's out there right now for you to take a look at. And I'm going to be increasing the price on December 1st. So just for you fabulous people who are with me today, I have a special price out there for you right now. So if you get a chance to go out and take a look at it, please do. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And I did tell you, where is my chat? There it is. I did tell you that I was going to enter this into the chat. Spindrift is the
Do you want me to do it for you? Oh, it's there. Okay, I see it.
Sparkling water that I was talking about earlier. So that's the brand. You can get it at Wegmans and all kinds of places.
Jen, can you tell everybody your yoga intro to yoga was great. We did it at one of the senior centers, and I think you offer it as a class at Orchard Park, if I'm not mistaken. Is that open to the community if anyone in the class here would be interested?
Yeah, so I teach I teach a yoga class at the Orchard Park Senior Center once a week. And then starting after the first of the year, I'm actually going to be teaching 3 yoga classes at the Orchard Park Senior Center. So if you're a member of the Orchard Park Senior Center, um, you can join those classes. I believe they do charge a fee for it, and I don't know what that is off the top of my head. But if you reach out to the senior center, they can certainly tell you.
Awesome. Well, it was a great class. So much great information. I think not even just for the holidays, for all year. So I know I'm gonna practice a lot of what you said. Does
Right.
anyone have any questions they want to send us through the chat? We got a thank you from Susie for a very informative presentation, giving people a lot to think about. Awesome. You definitely did do that. The yoga, there's an intro to yoga class. Are you done with those for us? University Express, Jen's been with us for a while, and she does have some classes in our catalog, other classes. So be sure to check those out too.
Yes, I think
We,
I have one more in-person class coming up at the end of the month at Orchard Park, but it's not yoga, it's the retirement transition. So
Perfect.
that's coming up. I want to say it's November 30th.
Well, you
Um,
can go online, University Express,
yes.
and check it out, or look in your catalogs, guys. And yes, from D White, have a wonderful holiday, Jennifer, and we wish that to all of you as well. Thanks for all the positive feedback.
Thank you, everyone. And yes, have a wonderful Thanksgiving, a wonderful holiday season, whatever you celebrate. And please stay safe, stay warm, be careful if you're shoveling.
Yeah, be careful this weekend for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to stop the recording now, and we're going to sign off. Jen.